Good morning students, welcome back again. We were discussing chapter number 5, right? That is Indigo. We have already seen what the chapter is about. Still, one more time I am going to tell you a short summary. In this chapter, Mahatma Gandhi, right, who fights for the injustice for the villagers who are living in Champaran district, right, for their sharecropping agreements. This is all about the chapter, and we are looking into the chapter forward, that is in part number 2. We have already discussed part 1. Today we are going to discuss the further remaining story of this chapter in part number 2. Take out your textbook, page number 49. Page number 49. I am repeating the second paragraph again, right, so it would be easy for you to understand again. Presently, the landlords learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. They thereupon obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% agreement. The sharecropping agreement was irksome to some of the peasants, and many signed willingly. Those who resisted engaged lawyers. The landlords hired thugs. Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed, and they wanted their money back. At this point, Gandhi arrived in Champaran. At this point, right, there was one, a mutual understanding going on between the Britishers, that is the landlords, and the sharecroppers, right? They knew that there is one more synthetic indigo that has been developed in Germany. So they wanted to shift their business from India to Germany. So they made a kind of an, a bilateral contract, right, in which actually the Britishers were getting the benefits. What did they do? They said that if you want to be free from this contract, you have to pay certain amount of compensations and we will let you free. And some financial strong people in the terms of sharecroppers who were there in that village, they even paid the compensation, right, the extra amount of money which actually was not to be paid. They paid to the Britishers, right, and they set themselves free. But what happened? At certain point of time, they came to know that the Britishers are planning to go from here to Germany for an higher developed or hybrid indigo, and they came to know that they are not interested over here. So the extra amount of the money, those sharecroppers who had paid in the terms of compensation, they wanted their money back. They wanted their money back. This is what it is. And what happens at this point of time? Gandhiji arrives in that village, that is in Champaran district, right? He began by trying to get the facts. First, he visited the secretary of the British Landlord Association. He directly visits to the secretary of British Landlord Association. The secretary told him that they could give no information to an outsider. The secretary denied to give the information to an outsider. Who was an outsider? Gandhi was an outsider, as he was not belonging to that village. Gandhi answered that he was not an outsider. He said that I am not an outsider. Next, Gandhi called on the British official commissioner on the Tirhut division in which the Champaran district lay. The commissioner, Gandhi reports, proceeded to bully me and advised me forthwith to leave Tirhut. Right? Even the commissioner, directly or indirectly, we can say that they had mutual communication, right? And he indirectly told Gandhiji to leave this place. That was again advised by the commissioner, right? He was bullied. Bullied means he was, pulled down by that commissioner as he was in charge of that place, and he told Gandhiji indirectly to leave this place, right? Gandhi did not leave. Instead, he proceeded to Motihari, the capital of Champaran. Several lawyers accompanied him. At the railway station, a vast multitude greeted Gandhiji. He went to a house and, using it as headquarters, continued his investigations. A report came in that a peasant had been maltreated in a nearby village. Maltreated means exploited. Maltreated means exploited. He went to a place which was near to a railway station. He stayed over there in that house. He made that house as an headquarters. He tried to get each and every information of that village, as he was being, rejected by the officials of British who were in charge of that place. He made that house as a headquarters. He got all the information. He was getting all the information, and at that point of time, there was one peasant, that is, there was one sharecropper, right, who was exploited in that era when Gandhiji was there in the village. A report came in that peasant had been maltreated in a nearby village. Gandhi decided to go and see the next morning. He started out on the back of an elephant. He had not proceeded far when the police superintendent's messenger overtook him and ordered him to return to the town in his carriage. Right? He was, slowly moving behind an elephant so that the British officials can see Gandhiji. But the particular person in charge of police, right, the superintendent, he saw Gandhiji, he overtook the elephant and Gandhiji, stopped there his vehicle and said that please do not enter into this village. You can move outside of the village, right? You are not allowed to enter in this village. That was the superintendent's word to Mahatma Gandhi. They didn't want Mahatma Gandhi to enter into the village and get all the facts and information, right? They just wanted that Gandhiji should leave this village as soon as it is possible. The messenger drove Gandhi home, where he served him with an official notice to quit. He even served an official notice to Mahatma Gandhi. This is the warning that we are giving you for the first and last time, that if you don't leave this place, if you don't quit this place, there would be some legal actions taken against you. Right? This is what this superintendent did. He gave an official notice to quit that place. Gandhi signed a receipt for the notice and wrote on that he would disobey the order. Gandhi signed and wrote on that notice, right, that he would disobey the order, right. In the consequence, Gandhi received a summons to appear in the court next day. What happened? He wrote on the notice, he rejected, he actually signed the notice, but on that notice, he returned that I will not accept this, and he gave back to the superintendent. He gave back to the superintendent. And what happened? He was dragged to court on the next day. There was a case filed against Mahatma Gandhi, and he was being dragged to the court on the next day. All night Gandhi remained awake. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad to come from Bihar with the influential friends. He sent instructions to the ashrams. He wired a full report to the viceroy. Right? What did Gandhiji do? He did not sleep it that night. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad to come from Bihar with some influential friends so that they will get together, they will have a stronger strength, and they can fight against the injustice going on in that village and the injustice done towards Mahatma Gandhi. Morning found the town of Motihari black with peasants. They did not know Gandhi's record in South Africa. Right? In the next morning, they found the town where he was. In which town Gandhiji made its headquarters? That is Motihari. Right? He was sitting there in that house. He made that house as a headquarters. Right? Motihari black with peasants. All the peasants were present over there. Right? And they didn't knew actually who Mahatma Gandhi was. Peasants had no idea who this great personality is. Right? They did not know Gandhi's record in South Africa. They had merely heard that Mahatma, who wanted to help them, was in trouble with the authorities. They only knew that there was one person who was actually trying to help us to come out of this injustice. That is Mahatma. And now he is in trouble. Now he is in trouble. All the villagers of that Motihari place all get together, all the peasants get together at that place, and they just knew that this guy who has come to help us in coming out of this situation, which is an injustice going on in that village, now actually he is in trouble. Now he is in trouble. The spontaneous demonstrations in thousands around the courthouse was the beginning of the liberation from the fear of British. What happened, when Gandhi was going to the court, all the villagers in thousands of numbers went and supported Gandhiji, and they all went to the court at one point of time. Thousands in numbers. And that was the end of the fear of the British era. Right? All the villagers stood together, right? They all went into the court. Thousands in numbers. You know the court system, right? You are not even allowed more than 30 to 50 people in the court, right? And there were thousands of villagers who backed or supported Gandhiji when he went to the court. And that was the first step of the end of the fear of the British era. The official felt powerless. The official saw, oh, what is this? There are 1,000 people. What can we do? This is something, very uncontrollable situation. They felt powerless without Gandhi's cooperation. He helped them regulate the crowd. He was polite and friendly. He was giving them concentrate proof that they might hitherto dreaded and unquestioned could be challenged by Indians. Right? He helped them. Actually, Gandhiji helped them. Who helped? Gandhiji helped whom? The Britishers, the officials who were in charge of the court. He helped them. He was very friendly. He was very cooperative. He stood outside all the villagers who were there in thousands. He said that you all stand here. Thank you so much for the support, but this is a law. This is a legal system. There is a case filed against me, and I need to go inside the court, right? And I need to work as per the law, right? It was all because of Gandhiji, right? He was giving them proof that there might be hitherto dreaded and unquestioned could be challenged by the Indians. See, if you do like this, if you are coming in thousands, they will get in proof, right, that we are wrong, right? And they would be asking such questions which I cannot actually answer. This is what Gandhiji said to the thousands of people who were giving support, right? He just wanted to stay outside. Gandhiji just wanted that the 1,000 people, more than 1,000 people actually, who came to the support, you just stand still over there outside the court. I'll go inside and see what the legal process is going on, and we will follow the law. The government was baffled, confused, what to do, right? 1,000 people suddenly coming to the law court, right? It is quite huge in number. Right, they were baffled, they were confused whether to run the case in the court, yes or no. The prosecutor requested the judge to postpone the trial. He just wanted to postpone the dates, right, from the next day, might be in the next week or in the next month. Apparently, the authorities wished to consult their superiors. Gandhi protested the delay. At that point of time, Gandhi said, why should we delay the case? What is the reason behind sending on the next date? Why should we delay the law? Why should we delay the proceedings? He opposed at that point of time. Actually, the government officials and all the people who were there in the law court were baffled, were confused whether to run, and if we give any kind of judgment which is against Mahatma Gandhi at this point of time, this 1,000 people, the crowd of 1,000 people standing outside the law court is going to create a lot of trouble. So they just wanted to postpone the date. But at that point of time, Gandhiji denied. He read a statement pleading guilty. He was involved. He told the court in a conflict of duties. On the one hand, not to set a bad example as a lawbreaker. See, you are the lawmakers, and if you set an example just by postponing this case, you are breaking the law. You are breaking the law. You are setting an example outside in a society which is a lawbreaker. Everything is normal, everything is fine. There is no reason to postpone the dates. It creates a bad image outside in a society as a lawmaker instead of a lawbreaker. This is what the image would be outside if you postpone the dates. And that is why I don't want to get delayed in this case. This is what Gandhiji said. It disregarded the order to leave not for want of respect for lawful authority, but in obedience to the higher law of our being, the voice of conscience. He asked the penalty due. The magistrate announced that he would pronounce sentence after 2 hours recess and asked Gandhi to furnish bail for those 120 minutes. Gandhi refused. The judge released him without bail. The judge released him without bail. The judge released him without bail. Of that 2 hours of recess, that is 120 minutes of recess that the judge took before giving a statement, right? What happened? I am repeating that paragraph again, try to understand. The magistrate announced that he would pronounce a sentence, that means he would give a sentence after 2 hours of recess, and asked Gandhi to furnish bail. And he asked Gandhiji that if you want bail, please tell your lawyer to file a particular application, and we would give you a bail. We would give you a bail for those 120 minutes. Gandhiji refused. Gandhiji said, I will not file any kind of application, written application to you, right, that I want the bail. I haven't done anything which is illegal. I haven't done anything which is wrong. Why should I plead against you? If I have not done anything wrong, if I have not broken anything to the law, why should I write you an application to you as a judge that please give me the bail? What is the reason behind it? I will not find, or I will not find any kind of application, or I will not write any kind of application to you. And what happened after 120 minutes, do you know? I'm reading the last line again. The judge released him without bail. The judge released him without bail. Bail means a temporary release, right? Whenever the law calls back again, you have to commit back again. But what happened? The judge and the people in the law court were so feared, were so confused. So what happened after 120 minutes? The judge released Mahatma Gandhi without any kind of bail. Without any kind of bail. When the court reconvened, the judge said he would not deliver the judgment for several days. The judge says, I am not going to deliver any kind of judgment for the upcoming number of several days. Meanwhile, he allowed Gandhiji to remain at liberty. He also gave Gandhiji a kind of liberty as a judge. That I cannot give any kind of judgment, neither I am going to give any kind of judgment in the few days. If I will give any kind of judgment which is against Mahatma Gandhi, those 1,000 people are going to gather again and they are going to create a lot of trouble in the law court. Right? So this is not the right time to, give judgment which is against Mahatma Gandhi. So at that point of time, the British officials were quite feared. They didn't know what to do. They have never seen such kind of crowd getting together at one point of time. So even the judge says that I am not going to give any kind of judgment. Right? And I am also going to give liberty to Mahatma Gandhi. This is what the judge said, right, in the court. Now see, there comes Rajendra Prasad. As Gandhiji wrote earlier, to a letter to a telegraph to a Rajendra Prasad. Now there is a role of Rajendra Prasad. Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu, Maulana Mazharul Haq and several other prominent lawyers had arrived from Bihar. They all came from Bihar to this district, right? They confront with Gandhi, what would they do if he was sentenced to prison? Gandhi asked. Why? The senior lawyer replied they had come to advise and help him. If he went to jail, there would be nobody to advise and they would go home. What about the injustice to the sharecroppers? See, Gandhi is still not concerned about himself, right? All these big influential people said, what happened that if you went to jail? What would we do? That if those people would put you behind the bars, you can do nothing once you are inside. By the grace of God, be thankful to the judge, right? Or be thankful to that situation, right? That you are still outside. But what were the words of Gandhiji? He was not concerned about himself, even at that point of time. He said, what about the injustice which is being done to the sharecroppers? See, I am reading that line again. What about the injustice to the sharecroppers? He is directly talking to the higher authorities or to his higher influential friends. That is Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu and the other ones. What about this kind of people? What about these people, that is the sharecroppers who are having injustice? Gandhi demanded. The lawyers withdrew to consult. Rajendra Prasad has the record, the upshot of their consultations. They thought amongst themselves that Gandhi was totally a stranger. They were looking at a Gandhiji whom they have never seen, whom they have never saw. That kind of nature, attitude and character Gandhiji was behaving in that village. So they were quite alarmed, they were quite shocked. Who is this person? We actually don't know. The Gandhiji that we know is quite different from other Gandhiji who is present over here in this district. Right? They thought among themselves that Gandhiji was totally a stranger. And yet he is prepared to go to the prison for the sake of peasants. If they, on the other hand, being not only residents of the adjoining district, but also those who claim to have served these peasants should go home, it would be a shameful desertion. Then accordingly went back to Gandhi and told him they were ready to follow him into jail. The battle of Champaran is won, he exclaimed. Then he took a piece of paper and divided the group into pairs and put the order in which each pair was to go to the arrest, right? He knew, who knew? Gandhiji, that the British officials are quite feared. Now it is the end of the fear era of this British people. Gandhiji had a conscience, an inner thought that these people have feared, these people are known that they are wrong and we are going to win. The battle of Champaran district is won. He said very early. Who said this? Mahatma Gandhi. And all those people who were ready to join Gandhiji to, even if certain negative situation, even if we need to go to the jail, we are ready. So what did Gandhiji do? He took a piece of paper, made certain parts of the paper, wrote the name who were ready to follow even if the situation is going to the jail. Right? He knew, Gandhiji knew that the battle of this place is already been won. Several days later, Gandhi received a written communication from the magistrate. After a certain number of days, right, there was a written communication, that means a written letter from the magistrate, informing him that the lieutenant governor of the province had ordered the case to be dropped. That means those people who had filed a case against Mahatma Gandhi that he should not be allowed to enter into this place, right? There was one case that was being made against Mahatma Gandhi that he was not allowed to enter into that village. That case was dropped from the low court. Right? He said that the other person, that means the opposite party who has filed a case against Mahatma Gandhi, now they don't want to make any kind of legal actions. They don't want the case to go ahead. They are taking their case back. Civil disobedience has trumped the first time in the modern India. That was injustice towards Mahatma Gandhi. As a civilian, we are free, right? In India, we are free to go from one place to another place. No one can stop you without any reason. If someone stops you, what you are going to say? Why are you stopping me? What have I done that you are not allowing me to go from this to that place? This is our civil right. Right? But at that point of time, Gandhiji was stopped by the particular superintendent. Just he was not allowed to enter into Champaran. Why? Because he was getting all the information. And now what happened? The case was taken back again. And that was a victory for a civilian. And we are known as civilians. We can go from one place to the other place. No one can stop us. This is our right of freedom. Right? That we can go from here to there. And at that point of time, Gandhiji won as a battle of civilian, and that was the first step of success in the modern India. Right? Gandhi and the lawyers now proceeded to conduct a far-flung inquiry into the grievances of the farmer. Now the next step begins. What does Gandhiji do? He proceeded to conduct an inquiry. Now he is getting all the inquiry into the grievances of the farmers. Farmers means sharecroppers. Right? He is asking all the sharecroppers, what are your problems, what are your doubts, what are your point of view towards the injustice, what is actually going on, what is the scheme being by the British officials, what do they do, what is going on over here, how the sharecroppers process is being done over here. He is getting each and every information from that village. Right? He is getting into the deep roots now. Who? Mahatma Gandhi, by getting all the informations so he can fight against this injustice. Depositions by about 10,000 peasants were written down. 10,000 peasants, that is 10,000 sharecroppers gave it, right? Each and every information, and notes made on their other evidence. And even notes were being made as a part of evidence. Documents were collected. The whole area throbbed with the activity of the investigators and the vehement protest of the landlords. In June, Gandhi was summoned to Sir Edward Gate, the lieutenant governor. Before he went, he met leading associates and again laid detailed plans for the civil disobedience if he should not return. Gandhi had 4 protected interviewers with the lieutenant governor, who as a result appointed an official commission of the inquiry into the indigo sharecropper situation. The commission consisted of the landlord, government officials, and Gandhiji as the sole representative of the peasants. Now the situation is getting more legal and legal, right? He is going to the British landlord, he is telling each and everything to him. This is the injustice, these are the papers, these are as per the law, and injustice being done to the sharecroppers. So what happens? At the higher authority in the British officials, there is one meeting being done. There is one meeting, or there is a kind of investigation which is being going on in that place. And who are the people who are going into the meeting? I am repeating it again, right? Gandhiji had 4 protected interviewers with the lieutenant governor, who as a result appointed an official commission. Official commission means everything was, in the process. That means everything was being searched by the higher authority of the British officials. What is something wrong going on, highly going wrong in that village, right? So there was one meeting, official commission of inquiry into the indigo sharecroppers. What is the situation, right? The commission consisted of the landlords, the people who were there in the meeting, right, who were getting all the inquiry, right, regarding the sharecroppers. Which sharecrop? That is the indigo, right? Consisted of landlords, that is the owner, government officials, that means the higher authority, and Gandhiji as the sole representative. Gandhi was the only person who was fighting for this sharecroppers, Which sharecroppers? Indigo. Right? He was the only one person standing in that meeting regarding that inquiry, all the process which was been going on in that meeting. He was the only one who was standing as a sole representative for the sharecroppers. Why? Because those sharecroppers were not educated. Those sharecroppers didn't knew anything what is the legal process and what is the legal system. We have seen earlier in part number 1. Right? There were the landlords, that means whose place it was. They were also being called in the inquiry process. Second were the government officials who were asking questions, right? And the third one was Mahatma Gandhi. As the sole representative of the peasants. Gandhi remained in Champaran for an initial uninterrupted period of 7 months. He stayed there for 7 months, and that again for several shorter visits. He stayed there continuously for 7 months. Again he went back to some work. Again he used to come again to that village, right? The visit undertaken casually on the entreaty of an unlettered peasant in an expectation that it would last a few days occupied almost a year of Gandhi's life. It was almost 1 year of Gandhi's life, right, that he spent there in Champaran district. Fighting for justice, fighting for the sharecroppers to get their actual benefits, right? It took him 1 year, right? It requires a lot of patience, it requires a lot of hard work, it requires a lot of, mental ability to be present at that point of time to get the positive results at the end. And what was the duration? 1 year. Gandhi's 1 year of his life was spent in Champaran just to give justice to these sharecroppers. And moving towards the last paragraph for today, right? The official inquiry assembled a crushing mountain of the evidence against the big planters, and when they saw this, they agreed in the principle to make refunds to the peasants. But how much must we pay? They asked Gandhiji. See, now the landlords are asking, how much should we pay to the peasants? See, the situation is getting reversed now. They knew, who knew? The landlords, that we are doing something which is very wrong, right? And they were going to be in the trouble. Why? Because there was an official commission inquiry was going on. There were government officials who were researching each and everything. So the landlords came to know that if we don't give the money back which we have taken, which is illegally from the sharecroppers, we need to give back as soon as it is possible. So they asked Gandhiji what amount we should give it back to the sharecroppers. They thought he would demand repayment in full the money which they had illegally and deceitfully extracted from the sharecroppers. He asked only 50%. See what happens? They asked how much we should pay, and they thought, the Britishers thought he would demand repayment in the full of the money which they had illegally and deceitfully extorted from the sharecroppers. He asked only 50%. There he seemed amendment. Writes Reverend J. Z. Hodge, a British missionary in Champaran who observed the entire episode as a close range, thinking probably that he would not give way the representative of the planters offered to refund to the extent of 25%, and to his amazement, Mr. Gandhi took him at his word, thus breaking the deadlock. Thus breaking the deadlock. See, I'm trying to repeat that last paragraph again. This is where they were in fault when they said the words, what amount of refund we should pay. And there was one government official who was listening each and everything about this episode which was going on between the landlords and Mahatma Gandhi. I am repeating that paragraph again. See, they thought he would demand repayment in full of the money which they had illegally and deceitfully extorted from the sharecroppers. He asked only 50%. There he seemed adamant, writes Reverend J. Z. Hodge. Who is J. Z. Hodge? A British missionary in Champaran, who observed the entire episode, right, as a close range. He was present there, thinking probably that he would not give the representative of the planters offer to refund to extent of 25%. They said that we'll give you 50%, right? And they thought that 25% would be taken by Gandhiji and 25% would be given to the sharecroppers. And to this amazement, Mr. Gandhi took him at his words. They were caught in their own words, and thus breaking the deadlock. Thus breaking the deadlock by giving or offering 50%. By offering 50%, which was an illegal amount, to Gandhiji and to the sharecroppers. Right? They said that we'll pay you 50%, keep half, and we'll give half to the sharecroppers. At that point of time, Gandhiji broke the deadlock. That means they were in trouble. Who? The landlords, because they offered him 50%. They offered him 50% to Mahatma Gandhi, and that was the time they were in trouble. And there was one British missionary who was looking at this episode very closely. He was listening all these things. And again, one more paragraph for today. This settlement was adopted unanimously by the commission. Gandhiji explained that the amount of the refund was less important. See, Gandhiji said the amount was less important than the fact that the landlords had been obliged to surrender part of their money and with it part of their prestige. Therefore, as far as the peasants were concerned, the planters had behaved as lords above the law. Now the peasants saw that he had rights and defenders. They learned courage. He means they, all the peasants. He learned courage. This is what Gandhiji said. Part of money is less, it is important, but it is less important. It is less important. The most important thing is the way that the landlords behaved towards the sharecroppers. This is something very wrong, that you behaved towards them for the number of years. It is all about self-respect. It is all about the prestige. You were the landlords, but you behaved with them in the worst manner above the law. Above the law, which is something very wrong. When it comes to money and self-respect, obviously people are going to give more respect to the self ones, right? That is their own respect. That is the self-respect. And that is what actually Gandhiji wanted. That all the sharecroppers must be given prestige, must be given request, because they were the actual people who were working in that particular place. So money is the secondary option. It is all about the prestige that you need to give to the sharecroppers. Right? I am repeating that lines again. See, the second last line. Therefore, as far as the peasants were concerned, the planters, that means the landlords, had behaved as lords above the law. They behaved with them as they were the lords of that place, and which was above the law. That is something very wrong, and that is what Gandhiji wanted, that they should feel that you behaved with them very rudely, you behaved with them in a very wrong manner, and that is what we want, an apology. Money is a secondary term. Money is a secondary term. Money is less important over here. You need to give the respect that they actually should be given. This is what Gandhiji said. Now the peasants saw, that means the sharecroppers were listening all these things. The peasants saw that they had the right as a defenders, and they learned courage. They learned courage. Now they had the courage to talk towards the landlords. And this is what Gandhiji gave them the freedom. Gandhiji gave them the power to defend themselves, to protect themselves, to speak towards the other thing which is going wrong, which is against injustice. And now the sharecropper had the power and the courage to talk back. They had the power to get their self-respect back. Right? We'll stop this video over here. There is one more part of this video, that is part number 3. We are going to look what happens in the end. What is the end of the story? What is the climax of the story? Right? Now we know that all the officials, the British landlords, are in trouble. They have accepted that they had done something wrong. Gandhiji said that money is a secondary option, self-respect and prestige is then priority, that is to be given to the sharecroppers. Now what happens in the end? We are going to look in part number 3. Those students who have not watched the video of part number 1, I requested to write down the summary again so that the chapter would be understood. Right? You need to read the chapter twice and thrice, then only you will understand and you will improve your language, plus the sentences that are being given. Again, it is an important part of your grammatical concept. So it's a request, you need to read the chapter twice. Right? Still, those students who have not written the summary, please write it down the summary. Thank you.